championship weekend in NCAA football, and we are here to give you our 3 best bets of the biggest championship games this weekend. And it all starts right now with the Big Ten Championship. Hey everyone, it's Matt here at grandstandbettors.com. Go check our website out. Become part of our family. At the very least, hit subscribe button. You don't want to miss anything that we give away for free. We have free picks, free plays, free predictions all the time in every sport. And without further ado, let's dive in to this Big Ten Championship between Ohio State and Northwestern. So, a little different season for both of these teams. Ohio State has only played 5 games. Northwestern has played 7, but they have had 2 opponents. They've both played Nebraska and Michigan State. Different outcomes for both of these teams as well against those 2 opponents. Northwestern beat Nebraska by about 8 points and lost outright to Michigan State. Ohio State has put up 52 points against both of those teams and won those games by a combined 80-plus points. So, the line here is set at 20.5. Justin Fields is in the Heisman discussion. Not as much as some other quarterbacks we're going to get to later in the video, but I think he would be a Heisman contender if they played enough games this season. He's thrown for 1,403 yards in the 5 games with 15 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. On the flip side, Peyton Ramsey in 2 more games has actually only thrown for 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Justin Fields has a good set of receivers who both average over 100 yards a game. Wilson and Olave, they do a great job of going deep. They both average around 16 yards per catch. The running back game is really what opens up their passing game. Master Teague and Trey Sermon. Let me say those names again because they're the best in college football. Master Teague and Trey Sermon. Ohio State outrushes their opponents 251-95 each game. That rushing game is really what allows Justin Fields to be consistently good on a daily basis and throw with a good completion percentage. Peyton Ramsey doesn't have much around him. His top running back only gets about 252 yards on the season with 2 touchdowns. His best wide receiver, Bowman, 344 with 4 touchdowns. But he does have a 60% completion rate. And if there's one question mark on Ohio State, as we saw in the Indiana game, it is their pass defense and the ability to defend. Now, to be fair, in the Indiana game, they were up so many points, maybe they got a little relaxed. Northwestern's defense is going to come to play as well. They're second overall, only giving up 14.6 points per game. But here's the problem. The Ohio State Stars are much better than anybody Northwestern's played this year. In fact, Northwestern's opponents this year are 18-27. So how much can you really take in to the 14.6 points per game that the defense has given up? And also, remember, opponents 18-27 on the year, and they lost to Michigan State. So that's not a great resume. Ohio State is coming into this winning 20 straight Big Ten games on a combined 30-plus points or more. 5 straight games against Northwestern they've won. 32 points on average they've won by. Here's the thing. We're going to take minus 20.5 on Ohio State. As a Notre Dame fan, it absolutely kills us. They've basically said that if Ohio State wins this game, they're in the college playoff. But Ohio State's going to run up the score on this game. They need to solidify that their 6 games are much better than teams that have played 9, 10, or 11 games this season. So look for Ohio State to get up big and then keep running it and passing it down Northwestern's throat. I see a score of like 52-21, 52-24, something like that. Ohio State minus 20.5 in the Big Ten Championship game. So let's skip ahead to the 8 o'clock big championship game, the primetime championship game, the SEC Championship between Florida and Alabama. And hopefully no shoes will be thrown this week. Florida is coming off an awful loss to LSU. Go back and look at why they lost. All I can say is it was unbelievable, and they should be a little bit higher in the rankings going into this. But the College Football Playoff Committee did not actually hurt them as much as you would think they did. They only dropped one spot. Alabama is 10-0 coming into this. They don't really need to win to get in the college football playoff, but if they want that number 1 seed, a win here and a decent win is going to solidify them into that spot. Florida has some great offense. Alabama also has some good offense. Alabama has a quarterback named Mac Jones. He is a Heisman hopeful. 3,300 yards in the 10 games, 24 touchdowns. If you heard those stats, you would think that he's the best in the country. No. Florida's quarterback, Kyle Trask, 3,700 yards, 40 touchdowns, and a 70% completion rate. This guy is unreal. He likes to target his favorite wide receiver, Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitt, his top 2 big playmakers. Look for them to break out in this game. On the other side, Alabama has Najee Harris, who's college football's number 1 rushing scorer with 22 touchdowns. They use him to open the passing game with Mac Jones. On the defensive side of the ball, we're going to make this quick and to the point. None of these teams play defense. Now, statistically speaking, the Florida Gators give up 24 points a game. That's not too much. And Alabama is one of the lowest at 16 points per game. But they give up a combined average of 700 yards per game. So basically what is going on here is these teams get up so much on their opponents, and the opponents go for it so much on fourth down that they're just churning the ball over on downs. They're not racking up any points. And that's what's happening here. The red zone defense is very good for both these teams, but I think it's going to be a shootout. Florida has scored over 31 points every single game. Alabama has scored over 38 points every single game. That's a total of a combined 69 points they average or have always scored, at least. The over-under here is set at over 73.5. I'm going to take the over. I'd even take it up to probably 74 or even 75. There's not going to be any defense played. I think Alabama gets out to a 14-0 lead, maybe a 21-0 lead, and Florida is just throwing for like 3.5 quarters, and it just gets higher and higher and higher. I would not be surprised if there's 80, 85 points in this game. So Florida, Alabama, SEC Championship in primetime, over 73.5. And that leaves what's in between those two games, and that's Notre Dame, Clemson in the ACC Championship. Notre Dame is playing in their first ever ACC Championship, and we're going to be totally unbiased in this breakdown. Totally unbiased. So Notre Dame beat Clemson 47-40 in double overtime earlier this season. If you all remember, Trevor Lawrence did not play in that game. So this is the rematch, but the rematch with Trevor. And I can go into his statistics this year. They're a little skewed because of how much he didn't play this year, but he's thrown for over 9,000 yards in his collegiate career, and he is just one of the best quarterbacks out there. A lot of people say he's going to go number 1 and actually should stay in college so he doesn't go to the Jets. But we'll get to that later in the offseason. Notre Dame has another great quarterback, Ian Book. He has thrown for 1,570 yards, and he has 15 touchdowns and 8 rushing touchdowns with only 2 interceptions. This guy is a runner. Now, I say that, and as a Notre Dame fan, I'm going to tell you right now, he's the biggest pansy of a runner that I've ever seen. If you agree with me, write that in the comments. Tell me about Ian Book. The guy slides 8 yards before he even sees anybody. Anyway, that's just a pet peeve of mine as a Notre Dame fan. Clemson, on the other hand, has another good runner, Travis Antonin. Didn't say it right. My wife told me how to say it. Didn't say it anywhere near how I was supposed to be saying, but you know who I'm talking about. And this guy needs to be a bigger person in this game opposed to the last game. He had, I think, 29 rushes for 24 yards. In fact, Clemson as a whole needs to have a bigger rushing game in this game to open up the passing game for Trevor Lawrence. Last game, they had 33 rush attempts for 34 104 yards. That's not great. It's not going to win you ball games. But even with that said, they only lost in double overtime. Kenyon Williams of Notre Dame, 140 yards last time out. He's the best in the country, in my opinion. No bias again, no bias. But he's going to have a big game again. There's going to be a lot of points. Defensively, yeah, statistically, just like the last game, both these teams can be very good. Notre Dame only gives up about 17 points a game, and Clemson only gives up somewhere around, 18, 19 points again. They're actually 7th ranked in college football at this point, and they don't give up a lot of points. So you might be like, oh, we should go to the under on this. Not so fast. So Notre Dame plays down to their opponents and up to their opponents. I don't know if you paid attention a lot to Notre Dame, but they only beat Louisville 12-7. That was them playing down. Playing up is when they play Clemson, and they won 47-40. I'm going to tell you right now, the over was set at 60.5, and we were leaning over. I have gone back and forth on this. I don't think I can really make a play on the over or under. I'm going to go Notre Dame plus 10.5 points here. They are going to stay within the 10.5. They won outright last time. I know Trevor Lawrence wasn't there, but seriously, Notre Dame, in an unbiased opinion, is going to cover the 10.5 points. Clemson's going to get out to a lead. I think it's going to be 7-10, 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. But Notre Dame and Ian Book are going to find a way to cover that 10.5 points. I see a game like 35-28, maybe 38-28, and that still covers with the hook. So Notre Dame plus 10 in the ACC Championship. I mean, we would love an outright winner in the ACC Championship, but who knows? We'll just take the 10.5 points. So that's the 3 big championship bets of the weekend. I did tease you with 2 bonus picks. Friday night, Pac-12, take USC -3. Washington's out. Oregon's in. USC covered against UCLA last week on the -3 as well. They're going to do it again against Oregon. And in a Big 12 championship game that probably nobody's going to watch because Ohio State plays at the same time, it's Iowa State and Oklahoma. Take Iowa State on the money line. It's a great value. You're getting plus money there. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to win that game. They're going to be in the college football playoff if one of these teams stumbles on Saturday. And it's going to be a crazy, crazy Sunday reveal at noon if one of those teams does stumble. So that's all we have for you here at Grandstand Bettors. We have Ohio State and Northwestern, -20.5 on Ohio State. Florida, Alabama, over 73.5. And take the Irish, plus 10.5. No bias there at all. All right, that'll do it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. As always, sit back, relax, enjoy championship weekend. And as always, let us do the work while you do the winning.